Welcome to the Parish the Thought Show. The opinions of Brian, your host, and his guests have not been sanitized or scientifically tested, so please consume at your own risk. Now, here's Brian.
Ladies and gentlemen, and whoever else is listening, welcome back to the program. My special guest today is Jen Yeo, the CEO, founder, and principal broker of Presidio Real Estate here in the great state of Utah. Thank you, Jen, for coming on back on. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but I'm so happy to be back. Thanks for having me.
Last time it was 4-ish years ago. I think you'd opened your 11th office at that time. So
crazy.
Give us a little update on what you've done with your empire since then.
Well, let's see. We expanded to about 17 offices. And then, as you know, the market kind of shifted and changed a little bit. So we've been kind of bringing that back down to, instead of having some micro offices, we've just really combined a few and we're back down to about 12. But still around 500 agents. And since then, we've also expanded into Nevada and we've expanded into Idaho.
Well, congratulations. That's no small task.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been fun. My team is fantastic.
Well, the reason you're here today is because we all want to know about the Selling Salt Lake show that was on Bravo last year, right? That it was filmed?
Yep, it was filmed last year and we aired the end of last year and through like March of this year. Okay.
I have so many questions.
I'm sure you do.
Because, reality, it's entertainment. We all know that for the most part, but I assume that I've never been part of one. Some of my daughters watch a ton of reality stuff.
Really?
In quotes, air quotes, reality. So tell how did you, were you approached to do this or did you seek them out? Did you want to do something like this? Or what's the genesis of something like this? How does it come about?
Well, it's kind of funny because, there is a reality TV show called Below Deck, and it was 2020. Me and my friends, everybody was so cooped up, and we were like, let's go on Below Deck, which is you're really just a guest on this reality show, and really the dramas between the crew and the captain and all of that. And so we went on this mega yacht in the middle of the Caribbean and had a great time. It was like a 4-day trip, and that was on Bravo as well. And so after that show, Bravo reached out to me and said, would you be interested in being on The Housewives? And I don't know if someone else had recommended that or what it was. And I just kind of said, no, I'm not really sure that that's for me. And they said, well, what about doing a real estate show? And at the time I was like, well, I could consider that because that's my whole life. So what they had told me it was going to be in that moment, I was like, yeah, I think we could do that. That'd be cool. And I mean, obviously, as you know, in real estate, we love exposure. We're putting our listings and everything out there and trying to get as much eyeballs on what we're doing. So for me, it seemed like quite a gift to be focusing on the real estate company as well.
Okay. They said, yeah, let's do this. What does that buildup look like? Did they just show up or do you have to prep your team? I mean, I know I've done enough film work and background acting stuff to know that it takes forever to get something going.
Oh yeah. It took about 2 years before there was actually cameras on the ground here.
Okay.
So it was a lot of casting. They had a lot of interviews. I had 600 agents at the time and I would send them over top producers and agents that I thought would be great on the show. And it was funny to see what they were interested in. When my perception was you want to have producers that have the listings and are out there hustling and doing things that will make other agents inspired and the world go, oh, cool, look at that listing. And, so my perception was that, and they ended up not liking a few of the people that I put in front of them. And then they said, well, do you know this person and this person and this person? And I said, no, I don't know them. They were at other brokerages, never heard of them, don't know anything about them. And they basically recruited 3 of our cast members to be at my brokerage, which was a huge risk for me because I didn't know who they were. And I don't know if you know much about my brokerage. Our motto is raising the bar. And so it was hard for me to just accept anybody to come over. when for the show, right? But that's kind of what happened. And then we tried to get to know each other a little bit and have, some interaction before they actually started filming. And it was very interesting how that all played out.
Did you have any like veto power over these people?
Zero.
That was part of the deal. It's like we get to bring, because now my guess is that they just brought in people that were going to be dynamite, not in like a good way, but dynamite as in blowing things up, causing the drama. Is that the reality of the reality series? Is that kind of stuff?
It is. And that is exactly what I learned later, that's what they were looking for and what they wanted. And it played out really well for them on TV.
Were you surprised that that's what they wanted to do?
I was, because I felt like what I was told this was going to be was not at all what it ended up being.
So how many episodes were there in this?
8 episodes.
Okay. So I know I watched about half of one of them, and just the way they can edit things to make anybody look like the villain or the victim. And so I was just thinking, hey, this is not, there's a little bit of truth here, maybe not so much going on with all the
so glad
drama.
You're smart enough to say that, Brian, because the truth is there's so many people that believe it, and it cracks me up because we got to see the episodes 24 hours before the world got to see it. And what they did post-production was not what we filmed. And all of us were like, wait, that's the episode? Wait, hang on. And I think we were all bought into it at that point of like, hopefully they redeem it next episode. Hopefully they redeem it next episode. And it didn't seem like it ever got there. And I think you said one of the most brilliant things ever, that this is entertainment TV. This is not reality. And, but it's funny how many people out there, especially in our industry, believe that this was reality.
Because I think they want to. Or if they've heard something, if maybe somebody maybe doesn't know you well or doesn't like you or is threatened by you, if they hear something like, oh, totally, Jen is totally like this. See, it was on the show. So she must be a biatch or whatever, fill in the adjective of the day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I do feel like there's going to be people, this is a dog-eat-dog industry. If someone's rising, it's like, oh, I've heard this about her or this about him. And so they love to put narratives to something. And then if a reality show does some crazy post-editing, then great, it fits their narrative,
Yeah, kind of like I've heard of the tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah.
Like, and I heard that surrounded around Taylor Swift and how, because she was growing so big, people wanted to knock her down.
Definitely. I think it was really polarizing because people that do know me really well was like, Jen, that was so not you. And then the people that don't know me, they've now created this whole narrative. And so it is kind of funny to see how polarizing it is, how opposite of the spectrum some of the feedback is that we've gotten.
Does it get to you? Or I know there's saying that say, if you're somewhat famous, like never read the comments sections on social media. Did it get to you, or do you just like, whatever, people are going to say crap and just roll with it?
Oh no, it totally got to me. I mean, I think everybody in life has had the experience of being misunderstood. And there's this element of wanting to control it and fix it. I wasn't huge on the comments because I'm running a business, right? I wasn't like, let me go through it. But then if one of my friends saw something that was said, I'd see screenshots and it would be like, whoa. And I was called every name in the book. I was accused of all sorts of crazy things. And it was so disappointing to have built a business for 14 years to become one of the largest independent brokerages. Like truly, proof is in the pudding. I've done great things. I've been a pillar in the community. I've done people that know me really like me. Then to have that kind of response and some names that I've been called, and it was devastating. There were days that I was like, I can't do this, but I had signed a contract and I had to proceed with it. And so it was this is going to be one of the hardest times of my entire life for sure.
When they would come on, on set, for lack of a better term, was it like literally every day, or how long did the filming of of a season go? Daily, weekly, or?
Yeah, we filmed for 4 months, about 4 months straight, and it was about 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week for me. Because I was the business owner, I did a lot more filming than most people. And it was really hard on my business at that time. I mean, like today I have nearly $30 million in listings. And back then I think I had like 6. Like it was just like, I couldn't keep up with all of that, plus filming, plus trying to run the business, take care of my agents. I had a good team that really helped out a lot during that time. But man, it was difficult. It was a lot of filming.
Did this build the bonds of between you and your agents, or did it kind of fracture, or both?
It's done both for sure. Most people at my brokerage that know me, one of the things I love is a lot of people didn't even watch. I actually love that. And I've told a lot of people, don't watch it. Personally, I believe post-editing did a horrible job. But, the people that have watched it were like, it was entertainment. Some of them are very intelligent. It's entertainment. It was funny. It was crazy. It was worth watching, but we know that's not real.
Yeah. The drama and the dramatic effect and the music. And, in real life, we don't have the music when we have a reaction.
For sure.
It's just like, I think it was one of them. You were confronted with somebody who was poached from your brokerage or something. And just the way they had the angles on you, like just the surprise on your face. And I mean, in reality, that would probably surprise you anyway, but just the way they do it is brilliant, really. But it's scary how something can be edited to be made to say. I always tell people, hey, I saw this documentary, but I know that a documentary can be made to say anything. So that being said, blah, blah, blah.
Well, and the producers' jobs are to make you trust them. So you start to believe what they say, and they're like, man, this is going to be so good for you, so good for your business, and all these things. And you start to believe them because you've created relationships with them for like a year. And then the show comes out and you're like, what? It's not what I was told it was going to be. And so you really do get that sense of like, what was I thinking? How did I make this mistake? How did I make this decision? But I'm just grateful that there are still, I think the net positive is still good for the company, for, myself. But there was a lot of tough things that came with it too.
Do those still sit with you hard, or have you just like, whatever, water under the bridge?
I want to move on from it. I had told the producer that I wouldn't do a second season after I saw what came out, unless I had control over it. And obviously that's not something that Bravo wants to do. Oh. And so we were canceled, and I literally was celebrating when we were canceled. So I just kind of want to move on. And since that, I have really focused on growth, on learning, what I need to learn as a leader. I do feel like they showcased, a leader that really cares. And I'm grateful for that. I feel like they showed, like, I do get hurt when agents leave the brokerage, and I've dumped so much time and energy into them. And I think they showcased that fairly well, so they could see the real side of leadership, the real side of a human that has feelings and emotions that's trying to run a business. But I was really glad when we were canceled. I'm like, let's move on. So for me, it's old news. It's funny to hear how many people are still talking about it today, how many people have their own perceptions around it. And I just want to move on.
What was like the most interesting thing that you learned about just humans or yourself in this process?
It was interesting to see how teams collaborate. I mean, obviously, you don't know what a reality show is like until you are doing it. And so we learned a lot as we went through. But it was interesting to see how teams collaborate and how we work together through this. There's a bond that happens as you're going through something that's so crazy like this. While you're trying so hard to showcase what you do, you've got cameras in your face. You've got producers talking to you. You've got all sorts of things happening, and you're trying to multitask in a way while still being very real and trying to capture the moment. And yet it's extremely difficult to be real when there's a camera in your face. You've got a producer that's mentioned to you something like, hey, why don't you ask so-and-so something like this. And it wasn't like it was scripted at all. They just would guide you a little bit. And there was times we fought with the producers. Like we had knockdown, drag out, like, no, we're not doing that. And then we had moments that we, took their advice, and ultimately that was a bad decision because the editing made it look really bad. A lot of the things that I kept saying to them is, you guys, I don't go to coffee with my agents to talk about the other agents. That's not real. And yet they'd be like, yeah, but this event happened and you really do need to clear it up. And they sales pitch you. And you're right. I guess I do now that it's happened on the show, but I would never be doing this. So there was that balance too. And it was you're just in your head for months being like, did I say something wrong? Did I, you know what I mean? Because as a leader, you try and stay in that leadership position. You try and be, the person that's running the company, staying high level, but still being there and supportive. You don't get into the weeds with people. And this show made me get into the weeds with agents that was just ridiculous.
Again, master manipulators.
Totally.
They're all that way. I mean, they have to. Yeah, their objective is to make money, which is fine.
Absolutely.
But just, be straight about that and just, again, it ain't real.
Exactly. I'm so glad you get it.
I don't know. I try. But,
yeah.
So you said like in terms of like exposure for your business, it's a blessing, and it's helping you grow and get more and do more things.
Yeah. Again, it's pretty polarizing to see the opinions of it. We've had a lot of builders come out of the woodwork and come to us and say, hey, you have this platform. It'd be great to have you sell our homes. And so Kenny's on the show. We have a big project up right outside of Park City, and it's probably $80 million worth of real estate. And that came directly from the show. And so we're really grateful for things like that. And then, it's attracted some agents that got to see a little bit of our values on the show and can resonate with that. And it also got agents that wanted to move on. They didn't want to have anything to do with it. And I totally get it. At the time, my producer called me and said something along the lines of, hey, this Secret Lives of Mormon Wives show is really picking up speed. And we may want to pivot a little bit and kind of bring a little bit of the church into it, the Mormon church, because that's very prominent here in Utah. And I said, that's a really bad idea. I mean, we don't talk about religion. We don't, as realtors, we just stay very neutral. You live your life, we live our lives, but we're here to sell homes, and that's basically it. And, as hard as I fought it, and so did a couple of the agents that were on the show, they were very like, well, I mean, we could just talk about how it affects real estate, just, really high level. And it was like, you got to a point after they pushed you that you're like, yeah, I mean, I guess you could mention that's a very prominent religion here in Utah, but we knew that was a bad idea. And there were a couple agents that were on the show that had very strong opinions about the church, and they weren't afraid to talk about it. And that was kind of embarrassing for me as a business owner, because those agents were not agents at Presidio before. And it was like, I don't want people talking about the church. I don't want my clients to think that that's our stance. And yet, because of a reality TV show, there's probably people that think that.
Yeah, they're like, oh, Jen's bashing the church.
Right. Totally.
Well, again, they did that because it's sexy and it's going to get people riled up. 1,000,000%. Yeah.
Right.
Well, again, we're not revealing any magical secrets to people.
But yeah, it's a very interesting world to be a part of.
And would you do it again in some capacity?
If the right opportunity came to me that aligned with our values as a company, I would consider it again. But what I was told we were filming and what actually came out was not the same. And so I regret my choice to do what we did. But if I had control over it, like I would do an HGTV show. That's who we are. Realtors are trying so hard to be liked by the public, not hated. So that was very difficult.
Let's piss all the Mormons off. And that's 90% of our clientele.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anything else that you want to share about this experience that I haven't asked you?
I mean, not really. I just think that it's a business. It's a reality TV is an entertainment. And I wish that the realtors would look to me and do their own research and say, hey, if you're going to, like I said, the proof's in the pudding. I've grown one of the largest brokerages. You don't grow a large brokerage in the state of Utah as an individual owner, 100% owner, without having some sort of ethics and morals and some sort of drive that is unique, right? And yet this has deduced me and my company in some people's eyes to something that we're not. And I will continue to rise. I will continue to do great things in the community. I mean, we're constantly doing charitable events and constantly bringing great things to the community in communities in Utah. And I hope that people will look at that. I hope they'll turn their head away from this reality TV show, or at least be smart enough to know it's just entertainment TV.
Yeah.
But let's find out who Jennifer Yeo really is. Let's find out who Presidio really is before we just make a judgment call.
Well, that's no fun, Jen. Come on.
Well,
judgy. That's our thing.
Yeah. I've gotten pretty used to being misunderstood, and I've got some pretty thick skin, but
that is, I have to say, I had a former person I used to work with. Something happened in this situation, and I was confronted by a family member of hers, and this person had it completely wrong, and it just, I stewed on this for days. I'd never really had words for it, but yes, when you're misunderstood, that is hard to grapple with, because it insults your character. That's not who you are. But that person is absolutely convinced that you are the devil at that point.
Well, and I believe that we all have this story, Brian. We all have been misunderstood at some point in our lives, and it is so hard. And I think if we just start to give one another some benefit of the doubt and say, hey, they're just doing the best they can. Even if it wasn't right in your eyes, just try to give people the benefit of the doubt. Try to be understanding and kind to people, because we all have our own perceptions of what's happening in our lives. Like, I've seen two people have the exact same experience, but have completely different descriptions of what happened. And it's crazy to see that. And I've seen it firsthand with this reality TV show. And yet I can't control either perception. I really can't. And so you have to get to the point where you go, I guess I just have to be misunderstood and continue to keep being the person that I am. The people that are supposed to be in my life and support me will be there, and the ones that aren't won't. And right. I've really come to grips with that.
Yep. Well, there you go. Mic drop. We can end it right there. So.
Okay, great.
So thank you so much for coming on and enlightening us a little bit about the reality world and that whole experience. It was like I say, it wasn't fun to watch. Like I say, I made it through one episode and just realized, yeah, it's not who these people are.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that.
All right. Well, you go slay it some more, and we'll see you out there on the battlefield.
You're awesome. Thank you so much for having me again. It's always great to see you.
Thank you again for listening to The Parish the Thought Show. We know you have many podcast options and appreciate that you have chosen us. If you love what you hear, please give us a rating on whatever platform you find us. And don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. If you hate what you hear, only tell us. You're still here? Click on the next episode for more from The Parish the Thought Show.